Yeah. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय.
Let's start with the seven realities. You can start with that, Ashokji.
Thank you, Karthik. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. 1. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. 2. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. 3. The only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. 4. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. 5. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act with the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, or try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by adverse circumstance, and the individual amidst all, even uh, sorry, and the individual amidst every kind of hardship is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Given by Meher Baba in 1952. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. Over to you, Karthik.
Over to me. Thank you very much. So this welcome to this reading, and what we are doing is we are continuing our uh, Bal Natu reading of the glimpses of the God Man. We have finished 15 sessions till now, and we start with session number 16. 15 sessions are completed, and we do 16 now. We are in physical page 319, and we continue from that point on. And as I'll start reading first, and then we can always rotate as we go along. So this is the subtopic or the title of this section is "I am the real businessman" in quotes, which is Baba saying it. Besides Mauni's meeting with Baba on June 1, there are a few other incidents which remind me vividly of that blessed day. It was the first occasion for a newly formed Baba group at Pune to have Meher Baba's August Darshan. I noticed that the persons in this group represented different religions. H. E. Hakim, the head of the group and a double graduate, was a Muslim. I vaguely remember that there was also a Christian youth. On an earlier visit, we had exchanged views on the beginning of creation in capitals. By the end of the conversation, it was difficult to know who was more confused. We dropped that subject and turned to the weather. From heaven, we landed on the. Even to this day, I do not dare talk with anyone on the subject of creation. As I sat in the hall at Mehrabad, a person in his early 40s was by my side and he talked fluently with me in different languages. Later, he asked me to guess his religion, but I failed. He was Mr. Aaron, a Jew. There were a few Parsis, Zoroastrians, and the rest of the lot consisted of Hindus. Most of the visitors, excluding a few businessmen, belonged to the middle class, serving in some of the offices in Pune. After consenting to this darshan program, Baba sent a telegram through Dr. Ghani to inform those who would come from Pune that Baba had agreed to give a few minutes interview to each. This made them all the happier. After their arrival at Mehrabad, Baba commenced meeting the Pune group one by one. As each entered the room for his personal interview, Baba would greet the person with his wordless, lovely smile, which wiped out bitterness and sorrow from the heart. To one of the visitors, a cloth merchant, Baba suggested that he repeat any one name of God 7,000 times a day without fail. The person somehow feared that his family and business responsibilities might cause a lapse in carrying out the master's order. Such a breach he regarded as the greatest sin, so he frankly expressed his inability to carry out the order. When the master gives any such instruction, he definitely confers power on the person to carry it out in spite of himself. So Baba had a meaningful smile as he conveyed to the person, all right, forget about 7,000 times. Can you do it 700 times? At least do not forget to repeat the divine name 70 times a day without an exception. The visitor, of course, very lovingly agreed to this. In a playful mood and with a bit of humor in his eyes, Baba added, you are a businessman and you did good business with me too. But mind, I am the real businessman. So that's the quote. I draw my dear ones to me. There's another quote. Tejumal was in his late 50s and a bit crippled. Years later, he had read The Perfect Master by C.B. Purdom. I created in him an intense desire to meet Avatar Meher Baba in person, but at that time he was living in Sindh, hundreds of miles from Ahmednagar, so he could not avail himself of the opportunity to see Baba. The Word made flesh. Partition of India into Bharat and Pakistan in August 1947 brought him to Pune. There, he gathered more information about Baba and his activities. When he learned about the Darshan program, he decided to join the group in spite of his ill health. Thus, June 1 turned out to be the most sanctifying day in his life. At the time of his personal interview, Baba gestured, any questions? Tejumal answered, no questions, Baba, but I implore you to bless me with your love. Baba looked pleased with his attitude and conveyed a fortunate soul. After some informal and impersonal talk, Baba instructed Tejumal to repeat the word Baba for 5 minutes every midnight for a stipulated period. Tejumal willingly agreed. A deep look passed between the two, Baba smiled, and the interview was over. After his return to Pune, Tejumal wrote to Adi Senior about the observance of Baba's order, his personal experience, and his interpretation. In reply to this, Adi wrote, in regard to the repetition, it would be in one's interest to understand that insofar as the master's instruction go, they should, as far as practicable, be followed literally. What is needed most in spiritual enlightenment is the grace of the master. It does not mean that your own tastes should not be encouraged. They may be striven for, but whatever comes to you from the master after a depth of longing should be regarded as a potential to take you towards the finale of all spiritual experiences. It goes without saying that Tejumal followed Baba's instructions and reaped a rich spiritual harvest. In the case of spiritual experiences, the fact seems to be that Baba has first to lay his finger on a person's heart under the pretext of his glance or gesture or a simple instruction, and then a remarkable change takes place. In the case of some who have not met him personally, just hearing his glorious name or the sight of his pictures has worked wonders. In this sense, perhaps, Baba used to remark, I draw my dear ones to me in my own ways, in quotes.
Karthik, if you can underline that part. I draw my
The
dear
quote,
ones, the quote, yes. I draw my dear ones to me in my own ways. So that's a very big answer to many questions which people have.
yeah, yeah, agreed. We take it for granted because we have heard and seen so many times, but yes, he has his own ways.
Correct,
Okay,
rightly said. He has his own ways of operating.
indeed. Next topic, an uncommon phone call. One of my close friends, Lakshmi Narayan B. Thade, had Baba's first physical darshan on June 1, 1948. He was in his early 20s, a science graduate, and served as a clerk in one of the government offices. In late 1947, he attended a meeting in the East Lodge of the Theosophical Society in Pune, where the late R.K. Gadekar, one of Meher Baba's dear disciples, delivered a talk on Meher Baba, the Awakener. It aroused considerable curiosity in Thade, but his mind rebelled against regarding Meher Baba to be the avatar as were Rama and Krishna. It seems strange, but a chain of coincidences commenced that day. In his run of luck, when he visited his grandfather Yellappa, Dada, he found a Marathi biography of Meher Baba written by Deshmukh. After reading the book, Thade himself suddenly and deeply drawn to Baba. After reading the book, Thade felt himself suddenly and deeply drawn to Baba, though he could not precisely fathom or unravel the reason for this inner pull. After that, he did not miss any meeting that gave information about Baba and his life divine. When Dr. Ghani Munsif, with the help of some Baba people in Pune, arranged the above mentioned program at Mehrabad, the date of darshan was first fixed for May 15, 1948. Unfortunately, by that time, Thade had fallen sick with typhoid. He felt sorely grieved at missing the rare chance to meet the Master. I must be a first rate sinner, he thought, for it was then physically impossible for him to accompany the group. Within a few days, however, the news came that the date of darshan was changed to June 1. Thade felt greatly relieved, but then another difficulty cropped up. He was a newly appointed clerk, and in his illness, he had exhausted all the leave to his credit. His immediate supervisor seemed unwilling to sanction even one day off. What a pitiable predicament. At this point, a miracle, if one may use that word, occurred. A few days prior to the darshan, Thade's boss had an informal phone call from one of the superior officers. He suggested that if anyone in the office wished to visit a saintly personality, he should not, as far as possible, be refused leave. Casually, the boss inquired if there was anyone in his section who wished to visit a saint. When Thade had asked for leave, he had not disclosed his intention to visit Meher Baba at Mehrabad. Now he felt bold and proud enough to reveal his purpose, and he was all cheers when his supervisor very happily sanctioned the leave. Thade learned later the reason for the change in attitude, but even to this day, he does not know who talked with his boss on the phone and to whom he owes the divine debt. At any rate, he got the leave and with great joy joined the party going to Mehrabad, his heart singing. June 1 marked the most eventful day in his life and opened a splendid spiritual avenue. Amazing that how he does these things. Who would imagine that somebody gives an unusual instruction in an office like that, right? That's a very, very unusual thing to hear. Next topic, be good to others. When Thade was ushered into the room for his interview, Baba made him sit very close, almost touching the low mattress on which he had his seat. Baba flashed his usual smile upon the young man, and Thade felt that it filled and lit the room with heartwarming love. In Baba's presence, he felt like shedding tears of unspeakable relief. Baba asked him through Dr. Ghani if he had read any of his literature. When Thade mentioned the names of some books, Baba seemed pleased. With an air of a proud father, he communicated to Dr. Ghani, look, he is so very young, and yet he has read the books about me. He loves me. Thade could hardly restrain his tears of joy at these words of unexpected admiration. In these moments of felicity, Thade remembered his dear father and mother and had a passing thought. They too were here. Just then, Baba conveyed the following: you are blessed. Your parents too are blessed. Don't worry about them. They will share your happiness. Thade was thoroughly taken by surprise at this incidental remark. The statement about his parents has come true word for word. At present, all their children, now graduates and grandchildren, are active members of the Baba family, and they lead their lives with deep conviction in Meher Baba as the ancient one. In fact, if you recollect, I'm sure you know the Thare family, right?
Yes, yes, and even till today, every Baba program in Pune Center, you will find a few Thades and the family members. Even today.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah,
So
Baba.
there are some Thade family members in Ahmednagar as well, right?
Oh yes, yes. Uh, the one who comes in the Amar Tithi, he I
He's
forget,
working right now in Calcutta.
but,
Sanjay Thade.
but he comes for the Amar Tithi, and he is a, I mean, a prominent person in the Amar Tithi, and the other Thades also, and they also linked to the Madhusudan family. Okay.
Okay,
I do not know the whole family tree, but they are linked. They are or they are quite proximate to the Madhusudan family. Is what I believe. Mohan Kher has more idea about the
okay,
connection between Madhusudan and Thades.
okay. No problem. Very nice.
I I, I meet uh, there's uh, uh, 4 or 5 members of the Thade family at Pune Center. One of them is a
Okay,
very good singer, Jay Babu.
okay. Great. We'll continue.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
the end of the interview, Baba asked Thade if he had anything to say. The young man gathered courage against his shyness and said, Baba, at present I'm serving in a government office. I have passed my BSc examination. Should I leave the services and return to college to get a master's degree in science? Dr. Ghani read the reply. Do whatever you feel best, but do remember one thing, be good to others, and I am always with you. As Thade rose, he looked down at Baba's holy feet and felt like touching them. But everyone had been forbidden to do so. Unawares, his heart silently rolled out of his bosom to lie at Meher Baba's feet permanently. After his return to Pune, Thade was soon posted as the superintendent of the boys' hostel, where he had ample opportunity to be good to many students by revealing Meher Baba's name to their blossoming hearts. I sign on the heart is the next section. By late morning on June 1, the interviews were over. It was pre monsoon time, but the humid weather was made cooler by the morning wind that accompanied Baba's arrival. When the session was over, there was plenty of laughter and light-heartedness amongst us all. In Baba's Sahabas, minds were unburdened of so many worries. At the time of the interviews, Baba said little to them, but each one felt astonished at the intimate relationship that developed as a result of the few moments passed silently with him. The silence in action. Was there a new cultivation in the inner life of each? Quite possibly. In the case of some visitors, a few embarrassing incidents had happened prior to their meeting with the master, but after meeting him, the situations changed and they began to perceive order in disorder. After lunch, the party left Mehrabad for Pune with the exalted memory of precious moments spent in the company of the Godman. I shouldn't be saying Pune, it's still written as the British form Pune here. Suffused with Baba's glance of compassion, which had been like a shower of love upon him, Thade later tried to contact various people to learn of their life with Meher Baba, God in human form. He approached practically all of the men Mandali with a small, pretty card-sized album and requested each to write a few lines about Baba, what they take him to be, and what they personally feel about him. Sign it. During one of his next visits to Mehrabad, Thade held this album before Baba and very lovingly implored him to sign on the first page. Baba's eyes looked brilliant and shone with wisdom and compassion. Through his meaningful gestures, he conveyed, I sign on the heart. When you first met me, I signed on it. What need is there to sign on this paper? Indelible words of the Eternal One. Next, self destroying rage. I wish to conclude the narration of this blessed day with the account of Kishan Singh's interview with Baba. He's one of Avatar Meher Baba's dear ones and had the enviable good fortune to stay with the master for many days at a stretch and maintain a day to day diary of that period. In 1953, Baba's headquarters were at Dehradun for over 9 months. During that period, one of the two bungalows occupied by Baba and the Mandali was Kishan Singh's residence, so he had Baba's sahivas practically every day. However, for his first glimpse of the God-man, he had to pass through a crisis touching his faith in life. He had Baba's first darshan on June 1, 1948. As these firsts are closely linked, the account of how Kishan Singh came into Meher Baba's contact deserves to be mentioned. In the late 30s, some of his personal problems became so acute that he had to undergo a crucial phase. He became morbidly depressed and apprehensive. The restlessness was so terrible that he became possessed by self destroying rage. There has to be winter before spring sets in. He had first read Meher Baba's name in 1937 in the Tribune, a daily published in Lahore, Punjab, Pakistan. It was a short report on the lectures given by Princess Norina Machabeli and Deshmukh about Meher Baba. Kishan Singh got the impression that Meher Baba must be a very great saint and that he belonged to a Parsi Zoroastrian community. That was all. For months afterward, he did not come across any further news of the master in any other daily. No books on Meher Baba were available to him. In the early 40s, in spite of a good post in the government office, certain problems entailed great mental strain, which became unbearable. He feared a total nervous breakdown. Under these circumstances, one morning in 1941, he remembered Meher Baba all of a sudden and felt that Baba was the only one capable of giving him relief from that state of intense agony. In the first part of that year, Baba visited Rajasthan and Baluchistan, Pakistan, and for over a month his headquarters were at Dehradun. Soon, however, he left for Mehrabad for work connected with the Mas. This time, Kishan Singh was at Rawalpindi, but somehow he got news of Meher Baba's stay at Dehradun. Thinking that Baba would be there, Kishan Singh, in his desperate state, impulsively decided to take the long journey by train to Dehradun. There was no there was no one to compel him except himself. He resolved to meet Meher Baba and surrender to him, or else throw himself into the holy Ganges, self-chosen watery grave. Next, the waiter with a Baba button. After reaching Dehradun, Singh inquired of local people where Meher Baba's residence was, but they did not know. It was Sunday. On the spur of the moment, he remembered that Baba was born of Parsi parents. He visited one Irani hotel where he met a young man who looked like a waiter. Impatiently, Kishan Singh asked him if he knew where Meher Baba was. The boy gave him an address and even showed him a Baba button locket on his coat. It was the first time Kishan Singh had seen his master's smiling face. Overjoyed, he hurried to the address, but to his utter surprise, he found that it was incorrect. He inquired about Meher Baba at the house, but instead of giving any clue, the man living there started jeering at him for having come so long a distance to Dehradun in search of a Parsi, disregarding the many Hindu saints and sages. There was no time to spare to convince the man, so Singh made his way back to the hotel, looking in vain for the boy who had given him the address. He approached the manager, who told him that there was no such waiter employed in this hotel. Kishan Singh wondered who he was. He felt dejected and very confused. With some hesitation, he contacted a Parsi gentleman who welcomed him and gave him the right information about Meher Baba. He offered Singh a printed pamphlet containing Meher Baba's message and directed him to write for particulars to Adi K. Irani at Ahmednagar. The young man's locket and Baba's message bestowed a sort of consolation, but at the same time, the devil began to play his pranks, quoting the Bible and reminding Kishan Singh to be true to the resolve he had made when leaving Rawalpindi, to end his life if he failed to meet the master. And Singh arrived in Haridwar in a state of utter indecisiveness. He visited the bank of the Ganges with the thought of suicide lurking in his mind. The hope of Baba's immediate darshan had left him. It was a shock to him, and although he felt greatly annoyed, somehow he managed to control himself. There, by the river, most unexpectedly, he saw a person who had great affection and love for him. It's a day of surprises, he thought. With the idea of avoiding this friend, he ordered a tonga, but the person who had spotted him had hurriedly got into the same vehicle. Though Kishan Singh did not disclose his intention freely, his dear friend guessed that he was very much overpowered with unwanted emotions and so skillfully tried to pacify him. Sympathy is never one sided, and Kishan Singh was in a way won over. With deeper trust in Meher Baba and relying more on his merciful ways, he left Haridwar for Rawalpindi. So, Haridwar is about 2 hours north of Dehradun and has the Ganges. It's on the bank of Ganges. Okay. Distant but momentous darshan of the master. After reaching home, Kishan Singh wrote a letter to Adi Senior asking him for some books on Meher Baba and above all, earnestly requesting Meher Baba's darshan. After a short period, he received some Baba literature. Reading brought him the tidings of hope and a new way of understanding life. As the correspondence continued, he received happy news about the possibility of meeting Meher Baba in person, but this program was later cancelled and he was asked to attend a congregation of Baba people at Lahore, Pakistan. There, he personally met Adi Senior, and the free talk they had was of great help to him. His heart was incessantly clamoring for Meher Baba's darshan. However, agog with this thought, he became prey for a fakir who duped him for over 100 rupees. The man promised him Meher Baba's darshan in a dream. With increasing eagerness, appeals for darshan were made to Baba, but Adi, for one reason or the other, had to ask him to wait for the opportune moment. From one of Adi's letters, Kishan Singh got the information that Meher Baba was staying in Jubilee Hills at Hyderabad, now the capital of Andhra Pradesh. He thought of making a fresh attempt and sent a telegram directly to Meher Baba requesting him to grant darshan. He expected to get a reply at his address in Delhi, so he left Rawalpindi and waited for a couple of days at Delhi. Then He could bear the delay no longer and proceeded to Hyderabad, hundreds of miles to the south. After reaching this great city, he encountered many difficulties in getting to the Mandali's quarters. The place was quite new to him, and Jubilee Hills was an extensive area with the bungalows spread wide apart. Vishnu, one of the Mandali, met him and lovingly inquired about him, but when Kishan Singh opened the topic of Baba's darshan, Vishnu was entirely uncompromising. He tried to dissuade Kishan Singh from expecting darshan, even though he had journeyed over 1,000 miles. Baba was on a 10-day fast and he especially wished to remain undisturbed during that period. In the course of the conversation, it was disclosed that Kishan Singh's telegram had been received with garbled words and was sent back to Rawalpindi for confirmation. Hence, there had been a delay in sending the reply to Delhi. The telegram was the bearer of a golden summons that Meher Baba would permit him to be present at Mehrabad on May 25, 1945. But in the meantime, Kishan had left for Hyderabad. His long leave was to expire by May 25, and the service rules did not permit him to extend it. Hundreds of miles stretched between Rawalpindi and Mehrabad, which was a genuine difficulty. Vishnu dared not ask Baba to grant darshan, so he suggested that Kishan Singh write a note which he would bring to Baba's notice if possible. Vishnu left for Baba's bungalow, and Kishan Singh, with a mixed feeling of fear and delight, awaited the decision. To his great delight, Vishnu brought the news that Meher Baba would allow darshan provided he did not enter the bungalow. He was to have a glimpse of the God man from the gate of his residence, a distance of over 300 feet. Kishan Singh readily agreed to this as it was darshan and not distance that mattered to him. Baidul took him to the bungalow and instructed him a number of times not to bow down his head to Baba by way of paying homage. He could, at the most, hold his hands. Kishan Singh was not in a mood to understand such details. No sooner did he see Baba standing on the veranda that he prostrated himself on the ground at the gate, unaware of himself. Baidul got annoyed and helped him to stand erect. Meher Baba's brilliant eyes had a magnetic effect on Kishan, and in that state of ecstasy, he somehow folded his hands. He was overwhelmed with joy by Baba's radiance and his love so tender. After a minute or so, Baba clapped, meaning time's up. Kishan Singh felt that the time was over practically before it had commenced. The darshan left him dazed. Was it a dream? He rubbed his eyes to be sure that the light he beheld was no illusion. He was brought to his senses as Baidul admonished him for disregarding the master's instructions. Kishan Singh could not understand why Baidul or Vishnu made so much of Baba's orders when the master himself was all love and all kindness. He did not know then that the smallest instruction of the master had to be literally followed, as it had its own bearing on his spiritual work. As they reached the Mandali's quarters, there was a message from Baba. He sent his blessings to Kishan Singh, who was then asked to have lunch with the Mandali and to leave Hyderabad by the first available train. Wow. Do you know of this family, Ashok? Kishan Singh?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I
I
think
Sorry.
said, do
Kishan
you know
Singh
of this
was,
family?
I think he was a Delhi disciple around my grandfather's time.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I think
yeah, yeah.
so, yeah. And
Uh,
Kishan Singh is the person who took my dad to Dehradun,
oh,
from Delhi
Oh,
to Dehradun.
oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that we have so many others who joined us on the call. I've been focused on reading. We can slowly rotate at this
today,
point. Rotate reading.
absolutely.
Sunil,
We have
just
Suhail,
wanted
we have
to what
Yeah, Ashish, go ahead.
can we get some details about your father, Sunil? Means I heard many times from you, like
Oh, yes,
did you
certainly.
ever met to Meher Baba? Means what in very short, brief, if you can tell little bit, it will be great.
Uh, Maybe another time,
Okay,
later,
okay,
later in the day. Yeah,
okay,
let's
sure.
continue reading. Yeah.
If you thought Meher Baba was difficult, you don't know Sunil Ashish. Very difficult. Very
No, I'm
difficult to
sorry.
get.
I I just woke up and I started.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Due respect, Sunil. Okay. Ashokji, you want to read?
Sorry.
Uh, okay. Uh,
Sure.
अब मेहर बाबा की जय interview and unforgettable event. Meher Baba's darshan had a penetrating effect on Kishan Singh. He made up his mind to retire from government service at the earliest moment, to live a life dedicated to Meher Baba and his cause. He wrote to the master, I have decided to dedicate my life to you and serve you, but my inner self is not ripe to receive you. Let me drink a drop of thy compassion. In May 1947, he was asked to bring two musks from Rawalpindi to Mahabaleshwar near Pune. He could not succeed in this undertaking. So, in a letter to Baba, he expressed his deep regret over his failure. Erich replied, Baba says you need not worry for not having been able to bring the musks. Later on, an occasion may arise when you will be able to render him important seva service. Till then, go on with your present services in the office. So here again, Pune is spelled P-O-O-N-A. Karthik would raise uh, the occasion hinted at did occur, though after the period of some years. In the summer of 1948, Baba agreed to give audiences to his dear ones from the outstations. Kishan Singh was informed about this. With great joy, he reached Mehrabad on May 31st to meet the master the next day. It was a long awaited and momentous meeting, indeed overdue. As Kishan Singh entered the interview room, he experienced a unique quality of love in Meher Baba's presence and saw a radiant halo around his face. During their talk, Baba intimately inquired about the long journey by rail and his health, physical and mental. Kishan Singh availed himself of this opportunity to open his heart to the master. He was caught off guard when Baba put him a direct question. What do you want? He replied, is it for me to say what I need? My master is to decide what I should have. Baba looked serious and conveyed, the master knows everything, but he wants you to reply to the question. At this, Kishan Singh humbly answered, then please bless me with love and devotion at your lotus feet. Will you not, Baba? Baba just smiled, his eyes glittering, but did not say anything. Perhaps the silence meant something deeper. With a rare feeling of jubilation, Kishan Singh managed to leave Baba's presence and shed tears of joy, created all to himself. Thus, this day of interviews, June 1, brought tidings of new life to various souls eager to meet the Master. In him, they sought the consolation of life. During these short interviews, Mayor Baba's silent presence with its non-verbal communication awakened their hearts. He used the board sparingly, but when he did, it seemed that what he had in mind swept his fingers along as he gracefully moved over the letters. These simple words and instructions followed his dear ones like sweet hummingbirds, singing the notes of the moments spent in the company of the God man. Such were interviews with Meher Baba, whether at Mehrabad or Merazad. on Martyr Beach. An interview with Meva was an unforgettable event.
Okay, we go to the next chapter.
Yes. Special, that's chapter 22, Special Circular for Baba People, 1948. Visit to Baroda and Ahmedabad. After the refreshing day of interviews on June 1st, 1948, at Mehrabad, Meher Baba wished to resume work with the Mas, a profound and mysterious phase of his life. The Mas outwardly appeared to be extremely dirty, adamant, and unhygienic. Some people, not without reason, regard them as mentally deranged beyond any treatment, but are not appearances often deceptive. We have to be careful. Let not the shell decide the pearl. Oh, that's uh, quite a way of putting it. Let not the shell decide the pearl. The precious pearl in these dirty molds is their undoubted love for God, the beloved, and naturally, the only cure and restorative for them is through the contact of the one who is one with God. Their ways of living are queer and unpredictable because there is not in the mind made passage of definite plans or conclusions. They keep themselves forever open to the will of God. They are the free people. Theirs is the heart led track, mostly offbeat on the expanse of life. That is why, in the company of the Avatar, who is life itself, they felt relieved and secure in his embrace. Just as a botanical preserve is maintained in some parts of the country, feel that India is divinely ordained to be a spiritual preserve composed of the mass of various traits, repellent or pleasant, distressing or delightful. It's interesting that there are so many cross references to mass in this book.
Yeah, so it's the period. I think he's writing about the period, and this is the last. So it's the last part of the must work.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, it also throws insights on the book, The Wayfarers, which we read, detailed account of the mass and certain other, nuances and small anecdotes makes it interesting. Jai Baba.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jay Baba.
The, the first week of June 1948, Mayor Baba left the headquarters at Ahmednagar for a short tour to visit Baroda and Ahmedabad. Paidul, Erch, and Gusaji accompanied him. At Baroda, he renewed contacts with the two great musts of the city, Chambu Shah, a fifth plain must, and Rafai Shah. This time, Chambu Shah was accessible without much difficulty. It was to Rafai Shah that Baba wished to present his court, and he held it in his own hands until the must willingly slipped around. From Baroda, Baba moved. I read again. From Baroda, Baba moved north to visit Ahmedabad, the capital of Gujarat, within a short break, with a short break at Narayad to contact Janki Das Maharaj. On June 10th, the main contact was Jagannath Maharaj, who had a spacious ashram on the outskirts of Ahmedabad. Jagannath's original place of residence was not known. One fine morning, he had visited Ahmedabad and people began to treat him with respect. As time passed, he founded an ashram. By the time of Baba's visit on June 10th, he had 200 cows and had opened a free kitchen for Hindu sadhus and Muslim fakirs. Though Meher Baba's identity was not disclosed, Jagannath Maharaj somehow sensed his spiritual greatness. He very lovingly and cordially received Baba and they embraced. Jagannath offered Baba packets of fresh, rich food and a few shawls, one for each of the mandali. Baba stayed in Ahmedabad for 2 days and contacted about 10 masks. Baidul and Raj collected information from local people about these God intoxicated souls, and Baba spared no pains to meet them. Muhammad Hussain was spotted in a urinal enclosure where he happily passed most of his time. There he ate and rested, too undisturbed by the strength. Previously, he must have stayed in different parts of India, for in his unconnected talk, he used many different Indian languages. Karewala was a mediocre musk who enjoyed wearing iron rings on different parts of his body, common with the musk. Mazub Shah sat quietly in a shrine and had to be fed by others. Some musks ate whatever was offered to them. A few demanded food whenever they liked, and occasional rare ones were fed by their mazavars, attendants, morsel by morsel. So we come to another story. Catching a bus provided a dramatic situation. During his stay in Ahmedabad, Baba contacted a few seekers also. One of them was a school teacher. A contact with an advanced pilgrim named Baitullah Shah was well remembered by the Mandli, not as much for the pilgrim himself, but for the incredible incident connected with the visit. This person had a graying beard that shadowed his otherwise youthful face. He used to offer prayers to Allah 5 times a day, and every invocation kept him busy for 2 hours at a stretch. On Fridays, he would read the Quran continuously for 16 hours. Baba and the Mandli reached the suburb of Ahmedabad, where Baitullah Shah resided. They found the pilgrim engaged in his prayers, hence, Baba decided to visit him the next day, and Erech and Baitul hurried ahead to reserve seats in a bus. Baba too walked briskly, but Gustaji, because of some physical ailment, proceeded slowly and easily. Baidul gestured to Baba that the bus was about to start, and Baba clapped his hands and gestured to Gustaji to walk quickly to be in time for the bus. Gustaji broke into a trot, and the dramatic situation that followed is well described by William Donkin. But first, the following information regarding the political situation that prevailed in those days in the state of Hyderabad has to be explained. In August 1947, the British regime in India was over. With the departure of the British, the internal problems of some former states ruled by Rajas, kings, became acute when a few tried to claim their sovereignty to rule. The Nizam of Hyderabad, a Muslim ruler, was one of these. In support of his claim, an organization under the name of Razakars was formed. It was headed by a fanatic Muslim lawyer. The members of this organization, the, the Razakars, started harassing Hindus in the state, looting their properties, and even kidnapping the children and women. The news flared up in papers, particularly in the adjoining parts of Maharashtra and Gujarat, and people began to look down on the Razakars with great disdain. An Arab from the organization, who was also known to people by the word Chaus, was the most detested for his inhuman and brutal activities, so much so that the word Chaus evoked ill feelings as the word murderer does. To continue, to continue with the incident, Ustazi broke into a trot at once, but did so at the very instant that a small boy was coming towards him. This boy was somehow seized with the idea that Ustazi was running at him, and he uttered a yell of terror and turned on his heels and fled in front of Gustaji, screaming as he ran. Bystanders saw, as they thought, an innocent child being chased by a wicked little man in a black cap, and one or two shouted, "Cows, Arab." And to shout this word at this time was as much as to shout murder. Gustaji was intent only on running and thus utterly unaware that a score of people were girding upon the lions to pounce upon him. Baba, however, the master of every man and every situation, made a lightning signal to Gustaji to stop still in his tracks, which he did at once. This freezing of Gustaji allowed the onlookers to see not a villain, but a man clearly more incapable of violence to the innocent than the very child who had fled from him. The critical tension having been thus relaxed, Hiraj and Baidu dissipated what was left of it by explaining to Jigar that Gustaji was neither killer nor Arab, but simply a man running to catch a bus. There is a cross reference 90. That's William Donkin, The Wayfarers, the work of Meher Baba with advanced souls, June to August, page 4. Those who know Gustaji's amiable face and figure, the kind of face Rubens would have loved to paint, may wonder how on earth Gustaji could be mistaken, even for a second, for an Arab out for blood. But was not life with, sorry, cross reference 91? That's the same thing. That's The Wayfarers, page 3, William Dawkins. I start with but what was not life with Mero unpredictable. Uh, a month of observing the order, an important period for Baba people all over the world, commenced on June 21st. About a month earlier, on May 4th, 1948, a circular had been issued to all in the East and the West. It contained the information that Meher Baba would be engaged in a special type of spiritual work from June 21st to July 20th, 1948. All his disciples, devotees, and followers, both men and women, were to carry out one of the following five orders for a period of 1 month. 1. Observe silence. 2. Fast with one meal a day, tea or coffee to be taken only once during 24 hours. Feed a different poor person every day with your own hands, morsel by morsel. 4. Repeat orally every day 1,000 times any one divine name cherished by you. 5a. Do not touch or carry money. B. Do not touch any member of the opposite sex, excluding children under 7. C. Do not hit anyone under any circumstances, even in jest. D. Do not insult or abuse even when provoked. Every Baba follower was free to select any one of the five orders, but once it was decided upon, he was expected to follow it literally and without any compromise. Those in India were asked to communicate the decisions to Baba, Meher Baba by May 21st, while those abroad had until May 31st. So I take a pause here. This is something we read earlier, these five.
No, the fifth one is different here. The other four are common. The fifth one is different because it has some more conditions, A, B, C, D,
Okay.
subsection A, subsection B.
Yeah.
so, so here money is also included, and then do not hit anyone and do not insult or abuse even when provoked, right? So these
Yes,
are new. Otherwise, you're right. This is very similar to what he did in 1947.
similar to what?
I think 47 or 46, earlier in the book. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which Mahu had said that she'll try to
What?
observe.
Which reading?
Oh, yeah, I can read. Did you ask me to read?
No, no, no. We're talking about these rules and conditions.
Oh,
Sunil,
yeah.
yes, Sunil, did you say something?
Yes. Yeah, I was saying he's been reading for 30 minutes almost. So
I
if
know.
you want to
Yes, yes.
switch, I just offered. So Mau said she wants to read. It's okay. Please. Whichever.
Okay. Anyone can, any one of you, Mahu or Sunil can start. Yeah.
Jay Baba. Thanks, Karthik.
Thank you, Shokji.
Okay,
Mau,
boss.
go
So
ahead,
each should
please.
read.
Oh, you. Okay, I'll read.
Okay.
Okay, most of the acknowledgement slips from the United States, England, and Australia and other countries were received in time. To some of the Westerners, this was an opportunity to write directly to Baba, dearest, and send their heart's love, and also to request the privilege of meeting him in person. In England, Will Beckett did most of the work of informing Baba followers. The head of the Sufis in Australia was F.E. von Frankenberg. He had formed a small group interested in Meher Baba. Francis Brabazon, Ina Lemon, and a few others were members of this early group. About 10 persons from Australia sent in their willingness to follow Baba's orders. In one of his letters, Frankenberg requested that Baba clarify the spiritual significance of the circular. The reply sent to him through Dr. Gunny stated, to try to understand a perfect master from a limited, egoistic human standpoint is a sheer impossibility. By one action of his, the master perhaps serves many purposes on different planes. The only thing worth doing is to carry out master's behests most sincerely. Malcolm Schloss from West Coast of United States wrote that he had a dream about the master, Meher Baba, who conveyed to him that he was busy working hard for the spiritual upliftment of humanity. Malcolm wondered what the significance of the dream could be. Coincidentally, that day's mail brought him copies of the above mentioned circular, which was a comforting corroboration. Malcolm distributed the circular to Baba's people in California. Over 100 disciples and followers from the West were in readiness to join Baba in this divine vigil. Worry not over the past. Meher Baba had mentioned in the circular that he should not be disturbed in his special work by any correspondence from his people until July 20th, 1948. Nevertheless, letters concerning the 5 orders were brought to his attention. After sending in their choice, some Baba devotees sought his advice on practical problems they faced while carrying out the orders. The first order was to observe silence. The number of participants was small, and they did it sincerely. The second was a partial fast and a cup of tea or coffee. One devotee unwittingly joined his friends in drinking lime juice. He felt very sorry for the breach of the order, and he wrote to Baba, who pardoned him and asked him to continue his partial fast in right earnest. He was also to be on guard and not commit the mistake again. There was one who inquired about the size of the cup, and Baba, with gay mischief in his eyes, gestured, any size, but only 1 cup a day and no more. In an earlier period, some of the devotees had been asked to observe a fast once a week. During this June-July period, the previous order was suspended. A young Baba lover informed Baba that in the beginning he used to have some slices of bread with his tea as a part of the morning tea. Later he felt that it was not literal obedience and he wrote to Baba about it. The reply conveyed, worry not over the past, be vigilant in the present, commit not the same error again. Third order concerned feeding the poor. One of my friends who had agreed to abide by it fell sick. The poor man who was brought to his house refused to be fed morsel by morsel. But my friend's health did not permit him to go out in the search of other persons. Even on successive days, Baba directed him to try as best he could and leave the results to his divine will, repeating the divine name. The fourth order was to repeat one of the gods 100,000 times a day. At the outset of one of Meher Baba's devotees did not realize the time required for it. On the very first day, he discovered that it was impossible for him to exceed 25,000. He frankly confessed his mistake and with great remorse begged Meher Baba's pardon. Baba seemed touched by his words and asked him to repeat the cherished name only 15,000 times a day. He also added that if he carried out this new order, Baba would consider the number equivalent to one originally required. Some persons felt a bit confused over the section of the divine name, as no specific name was mentioned to him in the circular. One of Meher Baba's very dear ones wrote to him, I believe Om refers to Nirguna, the formless, whereas Meher Baba signifies the Saguna, God in human form state. Since the day I heard about you, I have adopted Om Meher Baba in my divine mantram. In later periods, I have come across some Baba people who repeat as and when time permits the divine name of God. I feel that wholehearted remembrance is more important than the selection of the name. In fact, all those who repeat the cherished name are invoking the same infinite consciousness that periodically becomes human in form of the God man, the avatar. One of Meher Baba's devotees inquired if he could repeat in his natural course of breathing the Sanskrit word Soham, meaning I am that, as a cherished divine name. He was permitted to do so. Here I am reminded of an incident in the late 60s when Meher Baba himself demonstrated silently to one of his lovers how to repeat BA BA as one inhales and exhales. But this has to be done, he especially mentioned, in a very easy and delightful manner. Baba, the unique divine name. A group of 4 women in Bombay decided to repeat the divine name 100,000 times, and they carried out the resolve successfully. As they were closely associated with Meher Baba's woman Mandli, Baba got this news and felt pleased. By the end of the first week, the group was specially ordered by Baba to observe silence for a week. They gladly did so. The third week, they were instructed to feed one poor person a day, and at the end, they were asked to observe the partial fast. A lucky group indeed. During this period, Dina, one of the women, had a remarkable experience. One day, she suddenly became deeply unconscious and remained so for a long time, so long that the outward symptoms of death were noticed by her friends, including a doctor. They felt greatly concerned and wholeheartedly called upon Meher Baba's help. Soon the patient awoke as if from a deep, rather too deep sleep, but with the experience of a rare, ecstatic calmness. A delightful trial. The fifth order was a composite one with 4 injunctions. One was, do not touch money, do not carry money, One businessman could not decide whether, in the literal sense of the order, he could handle bank drafts and checks or not. Ali Senior conveyed to him that the signing of checks or drafts was permissible. Another one, who had to handle money as a part of his duty, was exempted by Baba from that restriction during office hours. He was instructed to carry out faithfully the rest of injunctions carried out in the order. I too was observing the fifth order. As a teacher, I had to collect the fees of my class, so I used to ask one of the pupils to count the money. He happily did so, and he would hand over the amount to one of my colleagues who would credit it in the office. While teaching the mixed class of boys and girls, I had to be attentive that while distributing or accepting notebooks, I did not touch any of the girls. The problem of using the cane was easily solved by not carrying it in the classroom at all. I had to be mindful of not hitting anyone lightly, even in the jest. Because of my nature, it was not so difficult for me to check myself in using harsh language in my dealings with the pupils. I personally wish that all these injunctions should be observed without letting the pupils know that I was carrying out Meher Baba's order. It was a delightful trial, of course, in many ways. At the opportune moment, Meher Baba's inner guidance saved me from the slopes. It was indeed a game of meditation, wakeful and lively. One woman, a Baba devotee from Bombay, expressed her inability to follow any of the 5 orders because of certain household responsibilities. Another was expecting a baby during that period. Baba sent his blessings to both of them and exempted them from observing the orders. In short, any honest difficulty was lovingly considered by the compassionate Father Meher Baba. There was no monotonous regimentation in the observance of these orders. I had been sent some extra copies of the circular and I informed my friends about it, but I never insisted that they fill in the acknowledgement slip. The few who did are Meher Baba's followers to the day, with deep conviction in his divinity. Can you command a bud to bloom? Coming to Meher Baba is a spontaneous response of the heart. To me, the issuing of that circular was a call of love to those who wish to follow the one who was and is love itself. Extreme prejudice against Meher Baba.
Maybe we can
Yeah,
rotate the reading again. Yeah. Well, thank you
sure,
for
sure. I
listening
need
in.
to still answer Ashish's question. Sorry, my apologies earlier. Maybe
Oh,
later as
yeah,
we
yeah.
close reading.
Yeah,
Sure.
yes, yes.
Sure.
Karthik,
Jai
at
Baba.
this point, you know, also one thing comes out is that Baba said real obedience or we should follow his orders, but at the same time, there's also a compassionate side where where there are genuine difficulties. He is to exempt people from that, strict order.
Absolutely. Good, interesting observation. And yes, he's done that over and over again.
Yes.
Very rarely does he not forgive or, admonishes people for lapses. He's always forgiving. Yes.
Can you go a bit up? I was referring to one paragraph which
Okay.
Sunil read. Can you please go up?
Something?
Yeah, this is the one. So he says that here no, I'm sorry. The use of harshness. So that there were 5 orders he had given, right? That 5A, B, C. Sorry, that's what I want.
Correct.
That's very interesting. Because, as you rightly observed, the what he had said earlier and what he said now, he made a further, classification on those of the 5th order. That's interesting.
Yes.
Dear
So,
Baba. Dear Baba, that's all.
so Mahu, are you in a position to read? You can read now.
Okay, sure, I can read.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Extreme Avatar Meh Baba Ki Jai. Extreme prejudice against Meher Baba. Every circular issued had drawn new persons to Meher Baba. The experiences of the old and new Baba followers, whether pleasant or trying, as they observed Meher Baba's order, definitely linked them closer to his universal heart. Instead of relating the experiences of so many Baba people, I will give an account of one person who had not until then met Meher Baba physically. He had no faith in Baba's avatarhood, and yet had agreed to abide by one of the orders. The experiences of others who did believe in Baba's divinity can well be guessed. Next page. Keshav Narayan Nigam is one of the avatar Meher Baba's very dear ones. He has a BA gold medalist and is a law graduate also. He relinquished his position to serve Meher Baba's cause, and at present he is the editor of Meher Pukar, a Hindi monthly dedicated to spreading Meher Baba's message of love and truth. Since July 1954, it has been published at Hamirpur. In the early 40s, Keshav was a staunch follower of Mahatma Gandhi and a sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. He first heard of Meher Baba in 1942 from one of Baba's devotees named Babadas. Once, once during a casual talk, Babadas said to him, Meher Baba is Lord Krishna who has come down on earth in the form of Meher Baba. Keshav smiled ironically and scornfully turned a deaf ear to this statement. Babadas gave him some beautiful pictures of Baba and some literature about him. Keshav did not care to read a single page, so biased was his attitude. Out of extreme prejudice, he threw away the Baba pictures on the public road to be trampled by people. With such scorn and malice was Meher Baba received by Keshav, who later regarded him as the only beloved, the eternal avatar. In 1943, Keshav Nigam was put in jail on political grounds. He was among those patriots who were staking their lives for the independence of India. In jail, he met Sheripat Sahai, one of his old colleagues, who brought to him fresh news about Meher Baba. In 1942, Sheripat Sahai had absconded in connection with a violent political movement. From a young age, he had also been interested in Ashtanga yoga and would practice yogic exercises daily. In the period of hiding, one of his friends, noticing his spiritual temperament, told him to meet Meher Baba. Baba was in partial seclusion at Mehrabad, but he granted darshan. During the meeting, Baba asked Sahai to relate the main incidents in his life. After hearing all that was said, Baba blessed him and assured him of guidance on the spiritual path. He also asked him to end his underground activities and surrender openly to the authorities, leaving the results to his divine will. In that short interview with Meher Baba, Shripat Sahai felt so convinced of his divinity that he proceeded straight to Hamirpur, informed the district superintendent of police, and willingly began jail life. Sometimes he would tell Keshav about Meher Baba's avatarhood, to which Keshav never agreed. Instead, there would be a hot discussion in which Keshav always asserted that Meher Baba lived idly without doing anything and took pleasure in declaring himself to be the avatar. Next page. The title is Light Dawns on Keshav Nigam. After some months, most of the political prisoners, including Keshav, were released from jail. He went to Hamirpur to live. In spite of his antagonistic views about Meher Baba, he continued to receive Baba circulars from Adi K. Irani. Being prejudiced, he would throw them into the waste paper basket without opening them. In May 1948, he received the circular about Baba's 5 orders. This time, through an inner urge, he opened it and read it too. He did not find anything inconsistent in it. On the contrary, the contents somehow appealed to him. Meher Baba had asked his people if they would follow willingly any one of the 5 orders for a period of 1 month. Keshav somehow felt impelled to fill in the acknowledgement slip, expressing his readiness to follow the 5th order. At that moment, his biased attitude vanished, and he wrote the following letter to Baba. Revered Sheri Meher Babaji, at last your light seems to have dawned upon me. I paid no heed to your circulars prior to this, but now I sign the 5th order of your circular most voluntarily and, next page, the above order shall be followed by me, literally, most faithfully, and without any compromise. I have a daughter about 8 years old. I do not know how I would be able to avoid touching her, as she remains with me for the major portion of the time when I am at home. I rely on your help in this matter. Part of the all-pervading soul, SD KN Nigam. This short letter linked Keshav to his beloved avatar Meher Baba. The next title is Violation of the Master's Order. At this time, Keshav quite unexpectedly received a call to the post of Director of Public Information in the newly formed government of Vindhya Pradesh. He had neither applied for the post nor had he expressed a desire for it, so the appointment was a great surprise to him. Some of his close friends had recommended him. As a lawyer, Keshav had a good practice in Hamirpur. He was about to refuse the offer, but it seems that the divine will inwardly persuaded him to accept. He acceded to the proposal on June 21, 1948, the first day of observing Meher Baba's order. This decision had a far-reaching effect in his personal life too, for on the day he began his duties, his ties with politics ended for good. He never re-entered the political field. To meditate on Meher Baba and to serve his cause appealed to him the most for the rest of his life. Keshav had sought Meher Baba's help in keeping his daughter from touching him during the stipulated period of 1 month. His reliance on Baba worked out in a wonderful way. Keshav's new position necessitated moving to Nowgong, and for one reason or another, his wife and daughter were not able to join him before July 20th. Although, next page. Although they wished to, but Keshav failed in his pledge to Meher Baba to follow the order faithfully and without compromise. It so happened that while departing for Nowgong, he knowingly allowed a girl over 7 years of age to apply tilak, red powder on the forehead, which is regarded as auspicious and a happy farewell, as was the current custom. He lovingly caressed this girl, which was again the spirit of the order, which was against the spirit of the order. He also touched money and carried it on his person on his journey to Nowgong. The worst part of the affair was that he knowingly violated Meher Baba's order. He did not know then that he was playing with fire. After a few days, an abscess developed on Keshav's right, next page, Keshav's right palm, the one which had fondled the girl and handled the money. The abscess turned septic and there was a huge swelling right up his arm. The pain was so severe that the abscess had to be incised. Then after the operation, the pain did not subside, but now it helped Keshav to remember Meher Baba intensely and wholeheartedly. The wound healed slowly until the last date of observance of the order, and then this strange suffering ended. It has been noticed that if one forgets to observe the order of the master in spite of the best of efforts, the ill effects are practically nil, for the master's all-pervading presence is full of compassion. But to disobey him purposefully is definitely harmful, physically and spiritually, as it indicates a deliberate attempt to go against the divine will. This does not mean that the master is a despot or dictator. Or dictator, it went here. We need to go to the text.
Yeah. I think
Hey, Baba Karthik.
1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can you see it now?
No, I can't see it.
1 second, let's stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay.
Jai Baba, Karthik, just
Yeah.
one. I think it is that the last few lines. It's quite good to underline that. Where he says that he forgives. 1 second. It says that it has been noticed that if one forgets to observe the order of the master, in spite of his best efforts, till uh,
Daily efforts.
Yeah,
but
it has been noticed that if this line.
yeah, this whole few lines up to the particular person
Okay.
is what I feel. I mean, if everybody agrees,
Sure.
I think it's quite. He says that he's compassionate, but this does not mean that a master is a despot or a dictator. But it seems a fact that his order releases specific power for the spiritual advancement of that particular person. It's quite.
Yeah. Sure. I'm gonna mark it out. Not a problem. Can we just finish this section of yeah, let's finish this section.
You can do it later on. No issues.
Yeah. Yeah. Just one more para, Mahu, and we can stop for the day.
Oh, sorry. From where I should read? This does not,
But
or from
but if
Hadith?
in place.
Uh-huh. But if in place of cooperating and obedience, one tries to go against the current, one is bound to invite suffering. In a sense, that too is the Jalali aspect of his compassion. Every moment of ours is a leap into the unknown, a vague attempt to find one's self, Captain. An order from the master which is practical and practicable directs one's next page directs one's journeying toward him, the self of all. He is the divine director.
Divine director.
Mhm. The divine
Okay.
director.
So we'll stop here at and mark it out. And we can now, if Sunil is comfortable, Sunil, you can answer Ashish's question. And you can let me know if you want me to keep the recording on or stop it as well. Okay, either way.
I'm fine either way, Jai Baba.
Then we
So
leave it
Ashish,
on. Please go ahead.
yeah, sorry, earlier I had just woken up when you asked me that question, so I was a little stunned. I didn't know how to answer.
So,
So,
by the way, you should repeat the question for anybody who joined after that. I don't even know who were there at that time.
right. So Ashish was asking
Yep.
about my father, right?
Yes.
So I think his question is more like in my family, not just the father, perhaps. So Ashish, it was my grandfather who met Baba first. I think it's 1944, around there. And his mention is in the Lord Mayor also. And he met Baba in Kashmir. It's a very long story, kind of lot of spiritual experiences before and after he met Meher Baba. So I think we are at the end of the session, so I'll not make it too long. But my grandfather was a lifelong disciple of Meher Baba, starting 44. And my grandfather, I think he died in 1980. So, and 1954, my father was about 14 at that time, was asked by Baba to come to Dehradun. He actually instructed my grandfather because my father had questioned my grandfather, uh, who is this Meher Baba? Why do you do so much for him? And Baba is supposed to come to Kashmir, and my grandfather was preparing for him. So he asked him, is he Pope of Rome? And you have to work so hard to prepare for him and spend money and this and that. You must be having a lavish lifestyle. So immediately after that, the trip was cancelled, but my grandfather got a telegram from Baba that please send your son over to Dehradun to see me. And he was just 14 at that time. And my father was in Kashmir. So it was difficult because my grandfather was in Delhi, father was in Kashmir, and Dehradun is off Delhi, another side. So my grandfather couldn't go to Kashmir to fetch him, and my grandfather's mother was taking care of my father. So she declined to send him. She said, one of my sons is already taken by this Meher Baba, and now another one also, I'm not going to give him. And then apparently one of her brother or one of the uncles there, he just coincidentally went to see a astrologer talking about my father, and the astrologer told him that his life is in danger in Srinagar. He has to get out of Srinagar immediately. If he doesn't, then his stars are aligned such that his life has a threat. So he must come out of Srinagar. And this is not connected. The two things are not connected. So this uncle comes home and tells my grandfather's mother, my great grandmother, that this is what he heard from the astrologer. What should we do? And she immediately recalled Baba had asked him to come. She said, okay, please take him away. Take him to Baba. And so he went on his own to Delhi. And from Delhi, Kishan Singh brought him over to Dehradun, is what I remember. And over there, he saw Baba. It was supposed to be 40 days, but Baba actually sent him back after 3 days. And he spent quite close time with Baba. Baba used to feed him. He saw where Baba lived, and again, that's a long experience. Basically, Baba wanted to show him that I'm not living like a Pope of Rome. Very basic lifestyle. The food that Baba ate, he was very, very surprised. And the lifestyle that Baba had, he was again very surprised that it's extremely simple lifestyle, very, very basic lifestyle. So then Baba asked him for 3 promises: never to lie, never, can't remember all the 3 now, sorry. One was not to lie, and the 2 more I have to recall again, sorry. There were 3 promises that Baba asked him, and he made those promises, and Baba let him go back. That was my father's meeting Baba. He met Baba only one time, and that was this time when he was 14. So again, lots of family stories about Baba. Some in person, some general spiritual experiences. So That was my family's Baba connection in very, very short words.
That's really great. That's really good. And
Thank you.
it was
Thank
really
you,
nice to
Ashish.
know also. It was really nice to know like your family's Baba connection. So you're
Just
blessed
God
with the
blessing.
Baba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
I can explain more when we have more time another day. So,
Right. Sure.
or I
Yeah.
can send you some materials. Maybe there's a YouTube video by this New York gentleman. What's his name? Edwin Luck. He's interviewed my
Mm.
grandfather. You can look
Very
that up.
old
There's
video.
some.
Yeah, yeah, that will be great. Yeah, please share it.
I'll
Yes.
forward that. I'll forward
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Sunil, you may
Some.
share, Jay Baba, Sunil, you may share it on the group. And also, if you can share, if you have readily available, the references in Lord Meher page.
Okay, yeah, I'll look that up. I'll share it on the group.
Great, great story.
I'm sorry, what was your grandfather's name?
His name was T.N. Dhar, Dhar.
T.N. Deher.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And the
The
way that it's stated in Lord Meher is T.N. Deher.
I think so.
Trilok
Dhar.
Trilokinath. Trilokinath, right?
Trilokinath Dhar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the full form. Trilokinath Dhar.
Okay.
Lovely.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing and thanks for asking, Ashish. We have heard this before, but it is always good to hear and get connected in this way and also share this with everybody. Thank you so much. And any other thoughts before we wrap up? It was
Yeah,
a
I can say I can say very short story about obedience. Can I say that? I read today.
sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this man goes to, Baba actually narrated this story to some of the mandalis, and it was about the obedience. And he said that there was this man who went to Perfect Master Shamsa Tabrizi and and asked him for help, in his spiritual journey and so forth. And so Shams accepted him as a devotee. And so the first thing is, he said, you've got to obey my instruction, and whatever that I say, that only benefits you. Are you willing to do that? And the man said, sure, I can do that, not a problem. And then Shams said, okay. So it so happened that one time they were crossing this river, both of them, um, both the man and the Shams. So the man observed Shams that, he was just walking in the river. This is a deep river. And, before he starts walking, he told the man, um, you can walk with me behind me, but with every step that you're taking, just say Shams, 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 and then you'll be safe. The man accepted, said, okay. Then, Shams started, walking in the river, and miraculously nothing, just he was walking and the man was following him. Shams, 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 and the man was safe, just like the perfect master. So then it so happened that the man started listening to Shams, to see, because Shams also was repeating a name, and then he saw that Shams was saying Allah, Allah, Allah. And then he said, wow, how come he says, in his own mind, he says Allah, maybe that's better. I'm going to say Allah too. So he changes Shams to Allah, Allah. As soon as he say Allah, Allah, the man drowned in the water and could not be saved. And Baba said, when a master gives you a specific instruction that is designed for you, and you've got to follow it wholeheartedly. If you go astray, then you got to pay for it. So I thought that was a simple but good story for us. Jai
Very
Baba.
amazing story on literal
Yeah.
obedience. We got the expression used today saying literal obedience is important, but this is such an amazing story for underlining the importance of literal obedience.
Yes, exactly.
One can get creative, one can use our free will, our viveka, and try to think that yeah, by discretion we can bend some rule, but then the price is very, very heavy because the
Yeah.
master has built something for you. Yeah,
Yeah. And then Baba said, your ego mind gets involved and wants to say that you know better. You know better than the master.
yeah.
And that's where the difficulty arises. Yeah. Like that. Jay Baba.
Beautiful.
Sorry
Jai
to
Baba,
take your
thanks for
time.
sharing.
Jay Baba.
Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing. Thanks everybody for joining, and look forward to tomorrow's discourses reading. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Jay Baba.
Thank you,
Atar
Karthik.
Meher Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.